The Lo-Fis is singer-songwriter, producer, former bassist of The Internet, Steve Lacy's second studio album. The Lo-Fis released in late 2020 when COVID was at its peak, and that setting makes a lot of sense when you dive into the overall sound and feel of the album, as it's a very comfortable, almost stay-at-home listen, if that makes any sense. However, this album doesn't feel like an album at all, but more of a compilation of unfinished songs, with a couple of exceptions like That's No Fun, which, while it feels like the most complete song in the bunch, it still lacks substance and is a bit repetitive with its overall idea. I mean, the longest song on this album, In Front of Me, is just under 3 minutes long, and that doesn't feel that finished either. There are a couple of tracks on here that are just around or even slightly under a minute runtime, which makes this listen very quick. Also, he uses a very recognizable drum pattern in most of these songs, along with a similar bass also thrown in the mix, that makes this listen feel almost like one big song. I mean, these songs sound so similar that on my first listen, I had to check the names of the songs every 30 seconds to make sure it hasn't switched yet. This album's main theme is Steve being what seems to be very obsessed with this girl who seems to have mixed feelings back for him, which only makes his obsession grow and get more excessive. The opening Atomic Vomit sets the scene of an outing, or hangout I'd assume, where Steve meets a girl who is immediately interested in his cologne. The next few songs don't really follow a progressive story, so he may be talking about a different girl numerous times, but only the next song, When I, already shows a deep interest Steve has for this girl, as if they have history. This history is also brought up In Front of Me, when he tells the girl, "Can you come back to me?" What I'm picking up from this storyline is that Steve likes this girl likes Steve, Steve becomes obsessed, girl not very interested, Steve's obsession only grows. I really do pick up the emotion of being obsessed as one of the beauties Steve captures in this album, especially in songs like Jars of It, where Steve depressingly sings about how he can't get enough of this girl over a sad, empty instrumental. This emptiness and sadness Steve captures in this song makes the listen very interesting and makes Jars of It easily one of my favorite tracks on the album. I also really enjoy That's No Fun, as it's a very sad, relatable song about changing and growing out of your old habits. There's a second person speaking in the song who's supposed to represent a toxic friend of Steve that misses the old Steve and how he's changed and becoming not fun, and how the Steve he used to know was more fun and smoked, and now he's different. Overall, it's a very catchy and beautiful song. I like it a lot. What else I really like about this album is how almost every song has a very catchy, sad hook that seems to make up pretty much the whole song. It's weird, I'll admit, it's a weird idea what he does on this album. Very short songs that consist of a few hooks and a bass. And I don't hate it, really. I enjoy what Steve did on this, and it's a very unique take on what an album can be. Like, the flaws on this album are very intentional and artistic. Like, Steve 100% knew that these songs lack substance, but that's the art of it. Sure, creatively and innovatively, it doesn't stack up to his other projects like Gemini Rights or Apollo. And even with that said, I enjoyed the listen for sure, even more than both of them. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed all these songs, and as a whole, it's a very unique, personal project. I'd give it like a solid 8 out of 10. I'm talking like 8.7 out of 10, like high 8s range.